Everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSi DFS Fantasy Baseball Picks. I'm your host, Megro with 31. And one thing that I just want to cover in the early part of the video, just in case you don't make it through all the end, is that we are quickly climbing up to 5K subscribers. And to celebrate that, if you have already subbed to our YouTube channel, if you take a screenshot of it, proving it, and send it to the email promos with an S at FSiDFS.com, and we will send you a coupon for a 1 week VIP pass to our site. Just to thank you for becoming a new subscriber, being an existing subscriber. And so we're going to run that up until we hit the 5K, and then we might do some celebrations after that. But just a remarkable feat. Another programming note is if you like WNBA basketball, Kurt, who we are partnering with, he's done multiple works in basketball things and used to be one of my rivals in EL throughout the industry. Is going to do a live stream up until WNBA Rock tonight on our YouTube channel. So be sure to come and check that out. Also, he's bringing in some heavy hitters throughout the industry and really trying to branch out and do some more different types of video content and stuff. So another reason to subscribe to your channel so you know where they're coming out, and just to try to you've helped us build this platform up with like all the subscribers and followers and viewers. So we're going to try to bring in some more people to provide some more cool content for you. So appreciate that. Okay, so 10 game slate here. There's a 4 game slate before. Actually, it's a 5 game slate. So it's a decent turbo slate if you want to check that out. I'm not going to break that down. I'm going to start with the Minnesota Twins and the New York Yankees. Yankee Stadium, 75 degrees, wind blowing in a little bit. 7:05 start. Bailey Ober and Luis Gill. The Yankees haven't been striking out as much, but I think Ober, he's been up and down. So I think he's in play in the mid range. And I think there's a lot of great pay up options here, but there's a lot of good bats. So, I mean, I think the pitching pool is going to be narrow. Ober probably could make it in a GPP, but I don't think I'm going to play him as cash even as SP2. In Gill, I'd love to try to get up to Minnesota. The strikeouts have come down with them. As you can see, they're now in the top 10 since they've changed things up. Royce Lewis is back in the lineup. They shuffled some things around. They're definitely more of a platoon matchup where they can just play like almost 2 different lineups against a lefty or a righty, almost like San Francisco was a couple of years ago. So you always have to watch that in playing them. But looks like I don't get it anymore. Shut down. Not my normal setup here. Just trying to do this on the fly. So anyway, skill, yeah, I think he's phenomenal. Young ace. Hopefully he doesn't get injured. It seems like all young pitchers started out successful, but he's up to 10-8, and I think that's where he belongs. Probably has a floor of like 20 DK points against this Minnesota team, even though it's not great park to pitch in with the wind blowing in, it should be okay. Minnesota would probably be one of the top leverage stacks on the slate. The Yankees are in play. It's so expensive. Expect Minnesota bullpen has been one of the best bullpens also out there. That's next to Philly in the last 2 weeks. So I maybe take a shot on some of the lefties. Like if you're doing like a GPP, like maybe a mini stack of Volpe, Soto, Judge, and Verdugo, maybe throwing some, but I don't think like a ton of Yankees, and this one especially in cash. Baltimore and Toronto, Corbin Burns and Bowden Francis. Francis is gonna be a fade for me. He's got like an 8.9 ERA. It's just like love the Baltimore bats here. And besides like Cincinnati being in Coors and Chicago being in Wrigley with wind blowing out, I mean, like the Baltimore bats should have a really good night. And Burns should have a good night also. I like, probably Gill definitely is the top one. Freed and Mayana, even with the wind, I'm probably a little bit better matchups than Burns, but I think Burns is solid here because Toronto is just doesn't have. They're talking about like I see all the rumors that they're talking about maybe sending like Springer to Atlanta to try to fill in for Acuna, and maybe even offering like Vlad, just kind of breaking up this team because they like put it together, and and they were extending it as like a young team, kind of like this Baltimore team is, but then they actually plateaued and went absolutely nowhere. So, they've got some new fresh blood and like Schneider and some others there, and maybe it's time to sell off, get some assets back, and try again to see, what they can do. Their closer's hurt now, but the guy that came in for Romano isn't bad. I mean, it's just not a not a bad situation in Toronto, but not a great one either. So really like Baltimore here in this matchup, and Burns and the bats. Toronto would just be, I'm not touching Francis, and the bats would just be a contrarian leverage stack against Burns. Burns has had some bad games, so it's possible, but it's pretty much an all-righty lineup besides Varsho and Vogelbach. They really need to, if they do blow up this team, try to get some left-handed bats. I mean, they have Kiermaier, but he's more of like a hitter, um, contact hitter than like a power guy. Braves in Boston in Fenway, 66 degrees, so a little bit cooler than some of the other games on the slate. Wind blowing in slightly 6 miles per hour, so not horrible hitting weather, not elite hitting weather. Okay. Uh, they have Max Fried against Cutter Crawford. Max Fried, besides Gill, I think Fried is like my second favorite, and maybe probably my favorite catch player on the slate because you save a lot here. You're saving almost 2K by playing him at 9K. He's been great recently. The Red Sox only have a 24.6% K rate overall, but it's like 27.8% against lefties recently. So definitely some Ks in the lineup. I think they're better against right-handed. This team's set up with like a lot of lefties, so the righties aren't as good with power. I mean, they're sporadic here and there. They can, but they don't scare me at all. So love Freed here. Cutter Crawford on their side. This Atlanta team, like they took a huge hit with losing Acuna, and just some of the other pieces just haven't really hit. Like Rosario, like left the team is on fire. Clinic they brought in is just not doing that. Murphy's back. I mean, he can get it going, but I'd rather have him against the lefty. It just like Olson's not hitting as much. Osuna's doing really well, and Riley's just coming back from injury. Harris, at the top of the lineup, they have the potential, and so I put him as like a top five because Crawford has struggled to at points, and I think that there's an opportunity here potentially for the Braves to have a decent night, but I don't think they're going to have as good a night as Cincinnati, Chicago, Baltimore, Houston, even San Francisco in the cheap range, Colorado. I mean, they're probably in the top 10, but I would not call them elite at this point anymore until we see them start to heat up a little bit. Boston bats again against Fried. I think he's going to be the highest owned pitcher, probably like the chalk SP1 in cash, so they would just be a leverage stack. The Battle of the Windy City. You have the White Sox going to Wrigley against the Cubs. And as I said, winds blowing out 12 miles per hour. It's 80 degrees there. Great hitting weather. Now, it might be a little bit of rain in the afternoon, but it's down to like 29% during the game. And then maybe later on the game up to 50%. So maybe sprinkler. So it should be okay. You have Chris Flexen, who I'm not touching in this situation here, and Shota Manana. I really like him, but with the wind, I kind of got to knock him down a couple pegs. Um, he has $200 less than Gill, but just in the matchup's great against the White Sox. But with the park factor and the wind and everything, I just and the White Sox have been horrible against left-handed pitching, like historically almost horrible against left-handed pitching. So I'm not trying to hate anybody that plays in Manana. I get it, but it's just so hard to get the bats and to get up here in the cash. And for 200 more, I like Gill against Minnesota, but you know, again, that's what's great about this thing is having 10 games is like there's not like one chalk, like everybody's gonna plug in the same thing and you're gonna have a lot of duplicated lineups. You gotta think, you gotta make choices. And here's an option for you. But Flexen is not. Chicago White Sox again are just gonna be a leverage deck against him. Fam's got some power against Lee's been up there hitting Jukes from Houston, DeJong. So there is a little bit of potential, but not much. So, if you want to throw a buck at the top four in the lineup that are all righties there, I don't think I'd go with Sosa. Well, maybe. Yeah, I had to punt second base in some of my lineups. So, I do have a little bit of share of Sosa, just not because I want to, just because he's probably the cheapest guy starting at second. And when we get into lineup builds, I'll get to that. But they're not going to play a ton of White Sox. Cubs, on the other hand, love them here. Uh, any like Talkman, Suzuki, right hand, fine with. Flexen's been a little bit reverse splits throughout his career, so righties hit him just as well as lefties do. Morale, Hap starting to heat up. So, and I don't know if I'd play the bottom of the lineup maybe for some salary relief, but definitely the top 5 or 6 are all in play here. Detroit and Texas Rangers, you have Flaherty against Dane Dunning. Flaherty has had a solid start to the season. Like this Detroit pitching staff hasn't been bad this year. And they do have one of the worst bullpens, which means that the starters usually get to go a little bit longer, also too, which is the added benefit. And 9-2, it's a decent price, so I think that definitely falls into the top 5 pitching here. I'd go down 200 and take Fried, but if you have 200 and want to be a little bit different in your build, then go with Flaherty. Dane Dunning on the other side has had some good games, has had some bad games, has had some injuries. Detroit, strikeout wise, is like middle of the road. So not really bad. They've been hitting a little bit better recently too. So I think, but Dunning, I think in this range, you really don't have anybody sub 8K that's really strong. So um, I think he's got to be in consideration on the slate for an SP2. I don't know necessarily in half, probably more in a GPP. Detroit bats. Definitely probably I like San Francisco, Arizona, and LA Angels more, but I think that there's definitely some potential here. They just have gotten expensive recently. Like the Detroit bats used to be dirt cheap. I think Keith still is at 2.9, which makes it reasonable here. But the green is up to like 5.3, and Prez leading off at 4.6. So the rest of the Badu every so often, I'll throw him in there. But um, Justin Henry Malroy, I'm not interested in even at 2K, or Baez is way over the hill, if not 2015 anymore. Carson Kelly is actually taken over the catching duties because the other guy was just been struggling so much. I can't remember his name, but so just probably the top of the order if you're playing them. Texas, I mean, they've been underwhelming recently. I mean, Seager's starting to heat up, and Josh Smith has moved up to with oh, who's the guy that got hurt early in the season? June, who had a phenomenal year there. But I think even when he comes back, he might be platoon because Smith has just been so solid as a left-handed bat hitting in the third position, and then maybe June will be platooned in the righty, and they might share the position when he's healthy. But even like Lau used to hit third, has moved down in the lineup, and Jankowski is still around Heim. So there's some decent bats here, and I think they're probably I don't even know if they'd fall in the top 10 of teams that I'd like, especially against Flaherty here. They're almost a leverage stack, but an expensive one. So I consider that for GPPs. St. Louis and the Houston Astros, Andre Poliante, who was a huge prospect, and then he just kind of fell away. I think it was in 22 or 23. But he's working his things out in the minors leagues and has come back and has been better. I mean, was St. Louis is going nowhere, so I mean they might as well try to throw anything at the wall and see if it's going to stick. And then Spencer Arrighetti, who we have been like targeting, but if you look at him recently, he's had some solid games, and the strikeouts are starting to get up there. 6, 7, 8. And St. Louis has gotten better and been a little bit more patient, but there are still some strikeouts in this lineup, and I don't think Arrighetti is one that we can stack against anymore. I think you got to consider him, and I think that he might be a very popular SP2 at 6-7 if you're trying to get bats in and a decent SP1. I think he's in the sweet spot for the SP2 consideration for cast. So St. Louis bats, I don't know. That's a tough one. I think that they're probably just going to be um, GPP. I don't even think Tampa Bay's on the slate. I don't know why they're there. So St. Louis, you can probably put in that slot. As if my cursor works. As I don't know why that's not working. STL. There we go. So yeah, if we can keep them in consideration for cheap bats, if we think Arrighetti has some regression there, but I think he'll be fine. Burleson, Gorman. I don't play Goldsmith or Arenado anymore. Donovan. I usually probably not Carpenter, but Sinai at the bottom of the lineup has been decent with some power every so often and some speed. So I like him as a rookie. I think he'll move up into the mix in the next coming years. He's like the next generation of some of these guys. He's done much better than Jordan Walker did when he came up. And Walker will be back eventually. So St. Louis has some young talent. They just need to get rid of like some of the veterans and maybe bring in some different veterans that will be a little bit more productive and less dusty. Houston on the other side, probably my fourth favorite stack here. Alred had a home run last night. Tucker got injured. Let's see if he's okay and back in the lineup. But as I look at this lineup, it's pretty much a right-handed heavy against Palenti as the righty here, but this should still be fine. I mean, they got 4.61 total, so Houston's definitely in play and probably have like lower ownership than Baltimore, Chicago, Cincinnati, San Francisco. So definitely a case for them. Coors Field here, wind blowing in at 12 miles per hour, 79 degrees. So it's still Coors. It's still 80 degrees, even though the wind's blowing in. It might switch a little bit. Wind still, even if it's blowing in, causes a little bit of havoc. So Cincinnati definitely rose to the occasion, put up a lot of runs last night. And you have Montas and Blash here. I'm not playing either pitcher. It definitely puts Colorado in play as one of the top GPPs against them. Cincinnati, whoever you want. I mean, Fairchild leading off usually against a lefty, a 3-5, maybe a pinch hit risk, but he can get enough done at that price point early on in the game. Candelario just continues to be red hot with a great price tag of 4.8. Ellie, the Cruz is kind of overpriced at 6.5. He really hasn't done much recently. Steer, I'm okay paying 6K for, but the rest of his team is like in the 4K range. So Friedel's like 5K. So definitely some people that you can pay for, and like there's some value down the bottom of the lineup, which is fine. Mally, a catcher, if you put him in over Stevenson, you're saving like 1.5K, and probably you're talking like maybe like 1 to 2 DK point difference. So he should be solid, especially he's got some power against the lefty. And then the Rockies bats here, pretty much anybody against Montas, I'm fine with. So a good game to load up on. Okay, gotta make a change here because I I thought that I read some good things on this like Major who's coming in to be uh to pitch for San Diego because they have like so many injuries. But then I saw and I was looking at it originally, and I put him at the top, and I'm like, wow, these are some decent numbers. But those were his double A numbers. He recently moved up to triple A and has just got destroyed, which really makes me like the Angels here, kind of. It's a sneaky cheap stack. So Sandoval on the other side, he had some good games. He had a rough game against Kansas City, good offense. He had a rough game against Cleveland, but then he had a really solid game coming back. And against a San Diego team that really hasn't been great recently. I mean, the medium row for like strikeouts and stuff, but they're not putting a ton of runs. The total's only 4.25. I think Sandoval has to be in consideration here in the 7K range for an SP2. Maybe not cash, but in a GPP. So I'm not writing him off, and I think I'll be having some Sandoval because I really think that he's going to get the win here. Because if this Major is really that bad against AAA, the Angels have some could say maybe a AAA lineup, but they've been probably a really good AAA lineup. They've been putting up some runs. They've been overachieving, and I play them every single day. I always say that, and I think that they are a good team to use as a fill-in or for a GPP for cheap bat relief tonight. San Diego on the other side, I think is probably my third favorite GPP stack. San Francisco and the Arizona Diamondbacks, Kyle Harrison and Blake Watson. Harrison, it's okay. Uh, I hate it lefties against Arizona. He's been solid this season, but just with the power of Marte and Moreno and Walker and Gurriel and Grichuk and even Suarez, like Blaze Alexander, they're going to probably throw like eight. The only lefty in the lineup's going to be Corbin Carroll, and maybe he'll sit, and you might see a righty fill in there for. So it might be an all right-handed lineup against him. So I think he's okay in the GPP. He's proved himself enough this year for that. It's a park downgrade for him too. I'd rather this game was in San Francisco than in Arizona. And Blake Watson on the other side has just not been great. So I think San Francisco makes a phenomenal cheap fill-in stack here also tonight. And looking at the prices, the most expensive one is Matt Chapman at 47. He's facing a lefty too, so and Soler, like you just like Ramos probably gonna lead off at 3-2. Like there was a stretch where he was just on fire against left-handed pitching. Estrada, if healthy's there. Where Flores has always been a lefty matcher. Chapman has been doing well. Matos has been doing well. Soler, Schmidt. It looks like it's gonna be an all right-handed lineup against poor Walton here. So not gonna play him in San Francisco is definitely in consideration to fill in for your bats. And final game, we have Seattle and Oakland, Kirby and Spence. Kirby up and down the season, but Oakland has not been as good against right-handed pitching as left-handed pitching. They have the number 2 K rate in the league. It's 26.1%. I think it's up to like 28 or 29% against right-handed pitching. The left-handed pitching, it brings it down to 26 because they've been pretty good against that. And then Spencer on the other side, Seattle has the worst K rate in the league. So any pitcher against them is going to be in play. And if you want to pivot off of, even though Spence numbers haven't been great and his strikeouts have only been 3-4, there could be some baked in there. He might get up to 5-6 and to pay off to 6.5. He might be a nice pivot off of Aaron Getty in GPPs as your SP2. So Seattle bats, GPP, and then Oakland against Kirby is just going to be a leverage play. So see what we have for Bills and get you on your way for your Tuesday. So I'm going to take Freed as my SP1, and then like Arrighetti, Spence, I'm probably gonna stay in that range. I mean, if you want to get up to like a Kirby or a Flaherty or someplace or an Ober someplace in there, I get it. But here's how I'm going to build. I want to play as many of the Reds and the Cubs as I can. So Stevenson or Molly, that will make your choice of like where you go for SP2 if you're falling down to the cheap range, or if you can stay in the mid range. If you Molly, you save some money there. Candelario at first base. At second base, I'm probably punting. Also, there's several things that we'll take into consideration. Like if you punt second base, or if you just want to throw in Rogers again from Colorado, that's like he's a steady, good guy that usually hits a good spot in the order in Coors Field. Usually a nice cash lock at second base. I'm not going to throw him in the core because I'm going to let you make your own decision. You might not be able to get up to him if you're trying to get De La Cruz in shortstop there. And Stevenson at catcher, you're not going to have enough salary to get up to 3-5 for him, but Rogers. But I think that if you want to throw that in there and then build the rest around it and see where you land, then I mean that's the way to go too. But Morel third base, I know I took up all your outfield. I hate doing that, but Fairchild happens. Suzuki, if you want to put Friedel in there, whoever. Switch them all up. Talkman over Suzuki with the lefty on ready to save you some salary. Those are the three that I'm going to recommend for the core. Uh, build play around with the Bills, like whatever give you more salary, and decide if you want to lead the Cruz there. Um, if not, I don't necessarily know if I go um in that cup stack. If you want to, I don't need it, but it's go far there just to get like somebody other people's field exposure, but it's going to save you a lot of money because at least at 6-5 and just hasn't been paying it off. Now he could go out there and have like 4 stolen bases and a home run and break the slate. But I don't think he's like the shot that you're going to need to have there at that price point. I think you'll be fine without it, but I'm not going to put him in the corner to give you the option. And the other thing too is if you want to go for Cincinnati heavy or Chicago like heavy just to get the full thing in there. If you want to get up to like Village, your starting pitcher, and Giannis, your starting pitcher, then throw San Francisco ready bat in there. Like everybody, the lineup is going to be probably in play. You can just load up and fill in so easily the rest of the lineup spots with that team that's going to be so cheap and in a great situation. GPP, one side or the other. So Kirby and Sandoval, and then you can get up to Rushman. Corby should be the rookie that they called up. It's like 2-5 at second base there. And then I'm going to fill in with Angels just because I think they're going to absolutely destroy the San Diego hitter. But again, you can throw San Francisco in here also with Baltimore for the cheap secondary stack. But Baltimore is where I'm going to be focused. I'm going to let you make your decision on first base. If you want to play one of the Angels guys there, so you should have Willie Chanel there, or you can play O'Hearn from Baltimore. It makes a great one there. I won't play Mountcastle. I usually leave him out of my stacks unless I'm playing. He's starting against a lefty. And then for the outfielder, you can throw in the two Angels guys, or if you want to go more Baltimore there. But if you want to go cheaper, if you want to get up to Gill, go Gill, Arrighetti. You can also throw Spence in there as the SP2. Hope it gives you enough salary to get up to Gill and be able to fill in the rest of the lineup with going like all Baltimore and Angels, or again, if you want to sub out the Angels and go with San Francisco, I'm fine with that too. So I got for you. If you have any questions, put them in the chat below. Hit me up at MegaRotor31 on Twitter, X. If you want more information on FSi DFS, like I said, remember the promo that we have. If you've already subscribed to our channel and you take a screenshot of it and send it to promos@fsidfs.com, we will in 24 hours send you a coupon for a free VIP week to come into our Discord and have availability to all our content. So thank you for being a watcher and a subscriber. So if you haven't subscribed yet, here's your chance. If you already have, we just want to thank you also. We didn't want to make it for new subscribers. We wanted to reward the 4,919 of you that have already subscribed to it. And over the years and have been loyal, faithful watchers, which I super appreciate you tuning in and listening to this. So description of the video has our pricing page to get in there if you do get the coupon, or if you want to check out all the other packages we have. Don't forget to check out Kurt tonight with the WNBA live stream that we're going to try to do and the other things that might be coming up on our channel. And if these videos help us back, like, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, so we can get up to that 5K, and share with your friends. So thank you so much. Good luck in your contest. Hope you have an amazing Tuesday, and I'll see you next time.